Everybody on here, welcome. We are answering general questions. So if you don't want anybody to hear in the world anything going on with your health, make sure that you ask a general question like, hey, I'm wondering how social media can affect our health. What you wouldn't want to ask is you would not want to ask, hey, I've got this issue going on and what do I do about it? Unless you're okay with the world, hearing and seeing that. So welcome to this week's Full Potential Life Coaching. I had the privilege yesterday of having a conversation with John Eldredge, which was just amazing. He's written books called, one of my favorites was Wild at Heart. I can't tell you how many times I cried reading. It was so helpful to realize that we're created to live a life of passion and excitement, and all of those are just so important. And what we're finding is that we are very affected by our environment. So I'm going to be sharing some statistics. This is directly from John Eldredge. Before we get started, I'm going to put in the chat here that we are doing a live webinar Monday night at 8 p.m. called the effects of COVID-19 on your family's health and what you can do about it. If you're interested in that, I'm pasting it in the chat right now. So you'll see that come through on the chat. The book that I'm talking about, and I will post it in here in a minute, is John Eldredge's book, Get Your Life Back. Get Your Life Back is a fantastic book, and I'm sharing directly from that. So all the points I'm going to share with you today are a shortened version of Get Your Life Back by John Eldredge. Basically, the premise of the book, and I really encourage everybody to read this. In fact, I'm going to grab the link for that right now. You can search for it. It's on Amazon, the Kindle edition, or iBooks, the Apple iBook store. It's $1.99 right now for the digital edition of that. You can also get it on Audible. You can download the regular book, but I'm going to put the title here because you might consume your content differently. But the book is Get Your Life Back. And now here's what's cool about this story, and it's by John Eldredge. He wrote this book and it was published in February. And that was before all of the COVID craziness hit. It was like right when it was starting to hit. And what happened was he was reaching burnout and compassion fatigue as a Christian therapist. He was just reaching this point where he wasn't enjoying life anymore. He wasn't enjoying his family anymore. His grandkids call him Pop Pop, and he was with his grandkids and would like get on his phone and check his stuff. And he just was no longer living life. And so he went on this journey asking God to show him how he could heal from this, because he just wasn't living. And the book, Get Your Life Back, is what was born out of that. He found that their research shows that there is a direct correlation with the amount of time we spend on social media and episodes of anxiety and depression. Direct correlation between social media and anxiety and depression. And the quest became, how do we get our humanity back? We are human. We are human beings. We are created for connection. We're created to experience life a certain way. And how do we get to personal restoration with this? What is the role of my heart and my soul in leadership? What is the role of your heart and your soul in leadership? Because we're all in leadership. And he went on this journey and found that leadership takes courage, it takes passion, it takes vision, it takes empathy. And so what he found was the way I treat my heart is actually the way I treat everyone else's. I want to say that one more time. The way I treat my heart is the way I treat everyone else's. And so he came up with this system to help. They're really simple. They're frustratingly simple. And I'm going to go through some of the practices with you, but I would encourage you to read the book and take time and go through it on your own. It's totally worth it. It's kind of like we're going from crisis to crisis to crisis, and we're on empathy overload all the time. And I shared with some people today, Never before in history would we be able to glance at something unintentionally and know what the death toll in Italy is right now. We've never been able to do that in the history of our existence. Yet we're somehow supposed to manage that. We're supposed to manage the political implications, the racial implications, the unrest that's happening, the fear around this, the economic impact. Never before have we been able to do that, and it's siphoning the life out of our soul. And so I don't think anybody would disagree with that. But the question is, what do we do about it? Right. And so I'm going to quote some practices in his book. Um, One of the practices is the 1 minute pause. Now, he has an app out called the 1 minute pause app. And what it's designed to do is literally, it's based on the concept of the Sabbath rest, of stopping intentionally. And so when we stop intentionally, um, uh, it's giving our soul permission to rest. You know, Dr. Duran, Dr. Wireman, and myself are in a direct patient care relationship model where we go room to room to room to room to report, to exam, to room, to x-ray, to consult, to report, to meeting, to, right? And what happens is our passion is serving and is getting people help. But what can happen, and this is true of all of us, it just happens to be a direct correlation with the three of us, is that if we don't take that pause, our soul and our heart will not be able to keep up with the pace. That's why chiropractors, sociologists, therapists, social workers have about a 2-year lifespan of hitting it big if we don't take care of our hearts. And it's true for the rest of everybody. And so it's kind of like, what am I going to do? I'm going to stop and pause and just release this. It's just a 1 minute pause. Super simple. Everybody can do it, and you can do it in the morning. You can do it in the evening. You can do it throughout your day. If you're starting to feel your chest tighten up and you're just getting frustrated, you can just stop and take your 1 minute pause. I started practicing this. I cannot tell you how annoyingly simple and extremely effective it is just to take a 1 minute pause. Another practice he talked about is benevolent detachment. Benevolent detachment. Now, this is a really interesting concept because we have to have benevolence, but we also have to detach from things. And so it's kind of like stepping back at bedtime and stopping and saying, I release it all to you, God. And sometimes when we name the things that happen, if we give them a name, it'll lose its power. So we might say, hey, that conversation I just had, that person was kind of hostile. That's interesting. And we're just naming it. And then we don't need to keep carrying it. But at some point, we have to say, okay, God, I realize that COVID numbers are what they are. I realize the political stuff is what it is. I realize that the stock market is doing what it's doing. I realize we still have to wear these face masks. I realize that this unrest is happening, and I just need to stop and detach. I need to practice benevolent detachment and say, God, I'm just going to give this to you. I'm not going to keep carrying this. And it doesn't mean we have a solution. It doesn't mean we have the answer. It doesn't mean we know what the next best thing to do is, but we are detaching, saying, you know what, I'm going to choose. I'm holding a tennis ball in my hand. We'll drop it. Well, I don't know how. Sure you do. No, I don't know how. Yes, you do. How do I drop it? You just drop it. That's all you have to do is just detach from it. So that's another act. And then drinking beauty. Drinking beauty is one of them. And I'm going to tie that in with getting outside. And I'm going to close on these so that we have time for your questions. And I can go over more if there aren't questions. But drinking beauty and getting outside, these are hugely important. So I'm going to contrast 2 different mornings. You wake up to your alarm, you snooze it, you go back to sleep, you snooze it again, you wake up, you're rushed. The first thing you do is roll over and grab this thing off your nightstand and you say, okay, Apple News, what's the news? What's happening today? Oh, shoot, there's a text. I meant to send you that yesterday. I'm so sorry. I'll get back. How do you mark a text unread? I don't know. Okay, I'm going to have to give that to somebody because I can't do anything with that. Okay, great. Oh, what? Oh my gosh. And so we start our day like that, or we can if we're not disciplined. And now it's over. The way we were supposed to start our day, wake up with gratitude, live with intention, drink beauty. What if instead, now I personally will start with the commitment, and I've started this, and I cannot tell you. Devin on my team just told me that it feels so different. She said it just feels so different in here and whatever. And here's what's interesting. Instead of me checking my phone in the morning, I've decided I would get up, I would beamer, I would go down and make a cup of coffee. And this morning, because it was nice, I decided to go outside, and my prayer time was on a walk with my cup of coffee without any technology at all. Nothing could interrupt that time. Nothing could distract me from that. And I got to watch birds fly and land on a roof. And I got to see flowers. I got to see retaining walls that are perfectly straight lines. And I got to have sunshine on my face. And it was such a different way. I was looking for beauty because of these disciplines. I was looking for beauty. And it's such a different morning than the hectic, chaotic, check the email, check the collections, check the text, check the schedule, check what's going on. And so those are some things, getting outside and drinking beauty. Look for things that are beautiful. The Bible says, whatever is lovely, noble, just, right, pure, of good report, think on these things. Yet we're spending all our time and energy talking to, I won't throw anybody under the bus, right? But talking to people who have totally different views than we do, and we get all stressed out, right? Now, if you say amen, we won't hear it because everything's muted. But, or fighting or toiling or worrying or fearing, and none of that is it. Some of the other practices are simple unplugging. Another one is kindness toward ourselves. Remember, how we treat our heart is how we treat others. Remembering who you love is a big one. Surrendering the self life, caring for neglected places in your soul, the gifts of memory, believe, the hidden life of God in you, the simple daily things, the daily prayer. This book was so life giving. It's like I heard a colleague and friend of mine say, it's like feeling your soul that's dehydrated being rehydrated when you start to practice these things. Become a beauty addict. Pause and let beauty do its thing in your life. Just stop and say, wow, that is gorgeous. And here's the cool thing about beauty. It's God's gift to us. It's totally free, isn't it? Can't you look at water and it doesn't cost you anything? Or look at a fire at night and it doesn't cost you anything? Or look at how the sun is coming through the trees. That's God's gift to us. It doesn't cost us anything. And so it really will rehydrate your soul. Robin Dunbar talks about the Dunbar number of limiting the people that have access to us to about 150 people, or otherwise we just get too fatigued. But think about what's happening on Facebook. If you've got 3,465 friends, how much access people have to your heart and mind. And so a couple tangible things you can do, and then I'm going to turn it over for questions. Do not check your phone first thing in the morning. Make a commitment to eliminating that practice completely. Do not check your phone first thing in the morning. I will go first and say that's absolutely something that I'm committing to. And another thing is have a maximum input of news at 5 minutes per day. It's okay to watch the news. Some people say don't watch the news at all. If you want to know what the stock market's doing, it is okay to see what's going on, but limit it to 5 minutes a day. And that can be really helpful. Something a colleague of mine said was she turned off all social media on her phone, all email, all news apps on her phone, and she started subscribing to her local newspaper and to the Wall Street Journal. And I thought, that's really interesting. That's kind of old school. You're pretty high tech. Why would you do that? And she said, because in the newspaper, if I'm holding a piece of paper, it's what is actually printed in the news. It's not based on an algorithm and my choices in what I'm reading. They're not filtering the message. It's just whatever is in the news. And I feel no attachment to it. I can view it over a cup of coffee. When I'm done with it, I throw it away. And nobody tracks what I read on that and repurposes and retargets me with any of these news stories. I think that is a brilliant idea. And for somebody who has not been a proponent of the news, I would say if you're interested in consuming the news, resubscribe to newspapers. Get the actual paper, hold it in your hand. When you're done, throw it away. Or if you have a wood burning fireplace, save it, to burn. But you can be detached from what's going on. I'm going to open it up for questions. Dr. Duran, Dr. Wireman, if you have anything you'd like to add, any practices that you've done, things that can help you function at your highest level. Remember, guys, it's all about full potential. We're not about stopping you from losing potential unless that's what you choose. We're not about helping you increase your potential a little bit unless that's what you choose. Our commitment for those who want to go on the journey with us is let's reach our full God-given potential. So, Dr. Duran, it looks like you're unmuted there. Do you have something you'd like to share? Okay, no problem. And then Dr. Wireman, if you have anything, you're welcome to share. I'm also going to open it up to questions. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. And I'll stay on for another 9 minutes. And if there are no questions, we'll end as soon as. There we go.
So one thing that I do every day is before I get to work, well, I get to work, 10 minutes before I normally would. And then I kind of just center myself and prepare for the day and do a quick little exercise routine that I do just to keep my body feeling good as I'm getting ready to take care of patients. So I find for me mentally and physically, like that's a huge boost to how I feel going through the day and whatnot. So that's just something that I do on a regular basis.
That's really helpful. And that helps with those transitions. Transitions are actually really hard on our soul. And so if you build in room for that transition into your next step or next thing you have to do, that can be really helpful from a productivity hack standpoint. That's why designing your week and batching your workload. So anything you need to do involving email should happen the same time every week. Instead of email, phone call, email, meeting, email, phone, batch all your email together, batch all your phone calls together, batch all your face-to-face communication together, batch the time where you are free to be spontaneous, where the grandkids come or the kiddos come and want to hang out. You actually, if your life is organized, you can actually be free to be spontaneous if you're intentional with these other things, and build in margin. There's a reason there's a margin on the end of the paper, and some of us write off the paper and onto the desk. I won't mention my name, but some people on this call actually have a hard time with margin. But it's so healthy to make sure that we have margin in our time, in our finances, right? Like all margin is margin wherever you apply that principle. Cool. Any other thoughts? Any questions? Totally okay if there aren't. Ms. Gay, go ahead.
One of the things that I like to do, I'm not able to do it this way every day, but I have a friend who writes praise and music, worship music. And she has a piano and she opens her home to a few of us in the morning. We used to do it at a church, but the church doesn't want us in there at this point in time. So she does it at her home, and there are a few of us that go in and we sing praise and music, worship music. Almost all, a few of them are old hymns, but it's almost all music that she has written. And her stuff comes straight out of the Bible. And we just end up in this beautiful, glorious, love God, ready to face the day because He is in us and we are going forth with joy. And it just makes a big difference to those days and actually to the whole week. She has made a couple of CDs, and I gave one to you, Dr. Lazar. I
wondered if that's who that was. Yeah,
yes, yes. And her music is just wonderful. And I will sometimes listen to that in the car instead of other things. But when I do news, I almost always, like 99 and 9/10% of the time, it's from a Christian perspective.
Yeah.
And that way, I'm getting, in my opinion, a better view of what's going on. And hang on again. I don't need that amazing grace right now. So, but that way I'm getting a viewpoint point that's easier for me to deal with. And I can be aware of other things. And I like to be aware of both sides, but I don't want to get it from a negative
Sure.
perspective. I would rather get it from a perspective that, just wants to inform you of what's going on and tries to give you both sides.
That's great. Well, I think that's really important. Before we sign off, if you're comfortable with it, if you feel safe, if you're not driving, what I want to do is just a little exercise before we go, and it will help you as you sign off. So I want to practice together a 60-second pause, where at the end of our call today, before we go do anything else, a 60-second pause by itself is very, very, very helpful. So, and I don't want to interrupt the 60-second pause. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one practice of gratitude, and then we're going to go into a 60-second pause, and then I'll dismiss everybody from the call, and for those that are streaming. So if you're watching in your car, please do not practice this. All right, so if you're comfortable, if you're safe and don't need your eyes on the road, I'd like you just to close your eyes. I'm gonna also practice it. I'm gonna get my timer ready so that I can be fully present on what's going on. And so what we're gonna do is just close your eyes, and I'd like you to put one hand on your chest, like on your sternum, kind of where your heart is, and another hand, I'm going to stand so you can see me, and another hand right on your stomach there. So you're kind of holding yourself for just a second. Close your eyes and breathe in through your nose. And what I want you to do is let that air out and think about something you are immensely grateful for. Now, if it doesn't come right away, sit there for a minute. It will come. And I don't want it to be anything that's big or flashy. I want it to be something like when you tuck your kids or grandkids or niece or nephew in at night, and you just get a full whiff of that shampoo in their hair with their wet head when they're laying on the pillow, or holding the hand of somebody you love on a walk. Just a perfect moment. Just take a moment to find a time or an experience in your life that you are immensely grateful for. And I want you to feel that gratitude. Don't watch it like a movie. Don't sit far away and observe this situation. Get in the front row seat of the roller coaster and ride this experience out, where you can feel the touch and feel the breeze on your face and hear the laughter or whatever it is. Be immensely grateful. Allow yourself to be affected and moved by that. And let your body just feel lighter and freer and less tense. And then we're going to go now into a 60-second pause where you just sit quietly and don't do or not do anything. Just let this minute happen. And we're going to do a 60-second pause now. All right. That is our 60-second pause. Not too scary, right? So go look for things that are beautiful, journal about things that are beautiful, practice gratitude, put on beautiful music, drink beautiful coffee, hug beautiful people, and just nourish your soul. Thank you guys for being on. This is streaming live, and then we'll post it. You can always find these the evening of our live coaching calls on our YouTube channel. So subscribe to those if you like that. And then join us Monday. You have to sign up for it. There's no charge, but join us Monday, 8 p.m. for our webinar on how COVID-19 stress is negatively affecting your health and what you can do about it. So it's going to be a solutions call, and we'll look forward to seeing you then. Miss Gay, do you have a question?
Yes, will that be recorded? Because I'm not sure. I may have another class Monday. I'm not sure.
So if you can't make it live, what I recommend is you sign up for it anyway.
Right.
And then you can get a replay link if you signed up for it. There's no replay link for people that didn't sign up. So make sure that you sign up for that. Okay.
Okay.
Have a great day, guys. Look for something beautiful. Thanks for being on.